They called her Glitter, not because she was loud, because she left light behind her wherever she went. Katlyn Lyon Montgomery, also known to many as Caitlyn, was 28. She loved to travel for music festivals. She danced, she joked, she had friends everywhere. She had a little girl who adored her. And then one morning, her child ran to get help, saying Mama wouldn't wake up. At first, investigators thought it was an overdose, but within hours, the truth started to surface. Someone didn't just hurt her, someone strangled her in her own bed while her daughter slept nearby. This is the story of what happened, how investigators built their case, and what the jury ultimately decided. Before we begin, this case involves domestic violence, strangulation, and a child present in the home. Please take care while watching. Also, I'm telling this story with respect for Caitlyn and her loved ones. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, call emergency services. Caitlyn was described as a bright, funny, and full of personality, someone who expressed herself through her hair, her style, her independence. She loved music, festivals, and dance, so much that people called her a shuffling queen. She sounds like so much fun. She was also a mother, a provider, a woman who was starting over. Now, Caitlyn was single, looking ahead, getting a new apartment, rebuilding her life. She was very excited about all the things that she had happening, all the things that she had going on. And that starting over part matters because for so many people, the most dangerous time in a relationship can be when they try to leave it. On October the 7th, 2022, a child, Caitlyn's daughter, Melanie, wakes someone up in the home. She says something is wrong. Mommy won't wake up. Emergency services arrive. CPR begins. And the first assumption, almost immediately, is overdose. In fact, the family recalls law enforcement repeatedly pushing the idea, is it drugs? Did she do drugs? Did you give her something?
The day her daughter was found unresponsive in her apartment by her roommate, Jacob Piercy, who called for help.
They asked me, does she do drugs? Do I do drugs?
The way the code of Virginia is, nobody can get in trouble for overdose.
After initially thinking Caitlyn suffered a drug overdose.
But here's what changed everything. At the hospital, a staff member tells the family this wasn't drugs. Someone hurt her. Doctors observe injuries consistent with a violent assault, specifically strangulation, with trauma to the neck and head.
At the hospital, it became clear that she had actually been strangled.
I saw two distinctive marks parallel to each other on her neck.
Lead investigator Robbie Burnett.
So who's the first person you're looking at?
We definitely looked at Jacob Piercy, the roommate.
Were you scared you'd be blamed for whatever happened to her?
Absolutely.
Piercy was cooperative, says investigator Burnett, agreeing to several interviews and turning over his phone. And you can hear Piercy on the 911 call as he performs CPR trying to save Caitlyn.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You could tell he was definitely putting effort.
Caitlyn's apartment becomes a crime scene immediately, but it's already been disturbed. First responders moved through it. Dogs were present. People were trying to help. And early on, before anyone fully believed it was a homicide, family members were even told it was okay to wash sheets and clean up. And that decision would haunt that investigation because when detectives later try to recover the DNA or fingerprints, they can't. Still, investigators find something important, a charging cord, multiple charging adapters wrapped up in the bedding. An item they believe is consistent with the marks on her neck. But again, no usable prints, no DNA. So this case becomes what we call an evidence puzzle. Not one single smoking gun, but a trail. I want to pause right here. If you hear anything in the background, I will go ahead and apologize in advance. I am out of town working, so I'm filming here in my hotel room. All right, now back to Caitlyn's story. With no forced entry and only one other adult in the apartment, investigators focus hard on Caitlyn's roommate, Jacob Piercy. He called 911. He was there. He did CPR. And then something else complicates everything. A statement from a 4-year-old Melanie. She reportedly says, "My brother killed my mom." Brother was her nickname for Jacob. But later, investigators say Melanie was actually describing what she saw: Jacob doing CPR, her tiny hands mimicking the motion. And when detectives review the 911 call, you can hear Jacob counting and performing compressions.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
My roommate's daughter just came and woke me up in my bedroom.
She told me that something was wrong with Mommy, and that Mommy wouldn't wake up.
Is she breathing?
Yes. No, I don't know. We need to get down here.
So the focus begins shifting because there is another person in this story, someone Caitlyn had just ended a relationship with. Caitlyn's ex-boyfriend is Trenton Fry from North Carolina. Friends described early impressions: tall, fitness-focused, seamlessly successful, claiming to own businesses, multiple businesses. But as time goes on, people around Caitlyn notice changes. They say she becomes more isolated. She stops going out as much. And then there are claims he tracked her location. Then money issues appear. Always does. Caitlyn reportedly tells family she's paying for everything. And eventually, she learns he may have lied about his stability, his credit, his income, and even parts of his life that he claimed. All major red flags. In early September of 2022, she breaks things off. She blocks him. And about 10 days later, she moves forward. A new place, new roommate, fresh start. But investigators will later argue Trenton didn't accept the breakup. He didn't accept the rejection. And in days leading up to the attack, they say he was watching her. This is where the case gets heavy on timeline and data. Prosecutors say Trenton's phone begins pinging in Virginia days before the attack, placing him in the area near Caitlyn's apartment complex. Neighbors report seeing an unfamiliar man sitting outside for hours at a vantage point that looks down towards her building. One neighbor takes a photo. Investigators say that man is Trenton. Then there's surveillance. Trenton's SUV is captured near the area. He's seen in a store, now wearing black. And there are texts, heated messages between them. Prosecutors describe jealousy and anger, including "karma is a bitch" language. Jacob says Caitlyn was frightened and considered going to get a self-defense weapon, but she never did. That night, Jacob says he hears a noise near the balcony. He checks, doesn't see anything. Investigators later discover the lock on the sliding door is broken, and they suspect that's how someone entered. Prosecutors' theory: this was a sudden stealth attack on a sleeping Caitlyn. Fast forward to the trial. The prosecution's narrative: he stalked her, he watched her, he waited. He entered quietly. He strangled her with charging cords. He left. They point to phone data, neighbor sightings, surveillance, texts, and the Bluetooth connection. The defense narrative: yes, he was there, but outside. They argue the case lacks hard evidence of him inside the apartment. They also attempt to raise an alternative scenario involving the roommate, suggesting an accident during a consensual act, something the family strongly rejects, and that reporting notes lack supporting findings of SA or activity. Then something surprises many observers. Trenton takes the stand. He admits he was spying, gathering intel, but says he never entered the apartment. He describes the idea of climbing quietly as ninja impossible. Okay. Prosecutors respond wearing all black is stealth mode, and stealth is exactly what they believe this was. On April 4th of 2025, the jury returns a verdict: guilty, first-degree murder. The family breaks down in tears. At sentencing, the court hears impact statements describing what this did to this family and what it did to Melanie. Reporting shows Trenton offers condolences but does not accept responsibility. On August 19, 2025, a judge sentences him to life in prison. The aftermath doesn't end with a verdict. Caitlyn's family becomes her voice, online, in public, on billboards, in updates, because silence is where cases disappear. And Melanie grows up with two truths. She lost her mother, and she is surrounded by people determined to keep her mother's name alive. Caitlyn left journals, words about love and worthiness, and her mother says something that hits like a promise: I will never stop saying my daughter's name. If you have made it this far, thank you for holding space for Caitlyn's story. If you're in a relationship where control is growing, where isolation is increasing, where you feel like you're walking on eggshells, please tell someone in your real life. Document what you can safely. Make a plan. And if you're here because you've lived through something similar, I'm glad you're still here. Rest in peace, Caitlyn. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Lisa. And until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and take care.